But imagine if you were part of a generation that saw the world change in ways that had not been seen for hundreds of years. That's what happened to the people who lived during the first Industrial Revolution, a period from approximately 1760 to 1840.
This was mostly advanced technology. In 1768, James Hargreaves perfected the spinning jenny. What exactly is a spinning jenny? Well, it was basically a machine that helped the user produce yarn. It was a revolutionary invention at the time because it allowed the person working the machine to spin multiple balls of yarn instead of just one. The machine itself did not make items out of yarn, but simply produced the yarn needed to make the items. At the time, Britain was selling cotton products at such a high rate that the yarn supply could not keep up with the demand. The spinning jenny was the first step in speeding up the process of yarn production. More innovators continued to improve yarn production. In the same year that Hargreaves perfected the spinning jenny, Richard Arkwright invented the spinning frame. This machine could produce stronger yarn and was powered by water instead of manpower. This earned it the nickname the water frame. In 1779, Samuel Crompton invented the spinning mule, a device that combined elements of the spinning jenny and the spinning frame. This new innovation allowed the user to produce different types of yarn. With the production of yarn speeding up, cloth weaving also needed an improvement. In 1787, Edmund Cartwright answered the call by perfecting the power loom. This machine presented a more efficient way to make cotton products. While engines that ran on steam were not the invention of James Watt, in 1775 he made the first modern, reliable steam engine. His innovation came after he noticed that a typical steam engine wasted power in heating and cooling processes. Watt found that the use of a separate condenser for cooling would allow the cylinder to remain hot. Importantly, these engines were powered by coal, so they did not need to be located near bodies of water as earlier machines had. This allowed factory owners greater control over where they would locate their factories. Soon, Watt's design was the preferred type for factory use. Transportation improvements were essential to the success of the Industrial Revolution. Goods needed to be transported to markets.
On a more positive note, the Industrial Revolution improved transportation throughout Britain. Merchants and factory owners had to have efficient ways to ship their products to market. Pretty soon, steam-powered ships were sailing up and down rivers and across the sea. Steam locomotives huffed and puffed along iron rails, including those of the Manchester to Liverpool Railway, which was hauling passengers and freight by the 1830s. In fact, by 1850, Great Britain could boast over 6,000 miles of railroad track. In the early 19th century, Great Britain proclaimed itself
More than 200 years later, we are still facing the same problems of air pollution and soot that the people of the first Industrial Revolution faced so many years ago. However, for the people of this period, the more immediate issue was the new economic divides in society. With the Industrial Revolution, the rich quickly grew incredibly rich, leaving the poorest people behind. This phenomenon is best encapsulated by the writings of Charles Dickens, who often used an economically disadvantaged person as his protagonist. On a much broader scale, the demands of factories in New England and Manchester